Consolation Prize! I'd like to start tonight off with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land, which is named for the Ute tribe, is the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Shoshone, Paiute, Goshute, and Ute tribes. The University of Utah recognizes and respects the enduring relationship that exists between many indigenous peoples and their traditional homelands. We respect the sovereign relationship between tribes, states, and the federal government, and we affirm the University of Utah's commitment to a partnership with Native nations and urban Indian communities through research, education, and community outreach activities. Tonight we are doing a stage reading of Consolation Prize, but we also have two other readings happening tomorrow. Wicked Girls by Penelope K. Wood, who's up there right now. That's happening at 2 p.m. And then we have a reading of Blood and Sequins by Rachel Bublitz at 6 p.m. And those are going to be really fun, so I hope to see you all there. And we also have open door officer applications. If anyone is interested in applying to be an officer next year, Open Door does a lot of great things, student projects. They really love to encourage student works such as this. So if you're interested in being a part of helping make that happen next year, you should apply. And now I'm gonna turn it over to Lauren.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. This play is all about mental health and the relationships that it explores between families and kind of how not just the person who suffers from mental health themselves can be affected. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks for coming. Woo!
A therapist's office that has been warmed up with details such as throw pillows, a fake plant in the corner, lit candles on the desk. A couch sits across from a small coffee table and chair. A side table on stage left features a microwave and various tea supplies. A desk upstage right is sat near a window. A warm sweater is draped over the chair at the desk. A piano and a chair, unlit and unnoticed, are upstage center. The space feels full. Erin is seated at the desk, making herself busy by reading through patient notes, sipping tea. A knock at the door.
Julia? Welcome. I'm so glad we could find time to meet with your busy schedule. Have a seat. Sure, anywhere's fine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad to finally be putting a name to the face. Your mother speaks of you often, and very fondly. Your mother told me you're a student at Cincinnati State, a freshman.
Sophomore.
Oh, I thought your mother said freshman.
I'm a sophomore. She was wrong.
I probably wrote it down wrong by mistake.
Sure.
A sophomore. Well, what an exciting time in your life. Have you settled on a major yet?
No.
It certainly can be a difficult decision. I thought I wanted to be a marine biologist, and well, here I am. You still have plenty of time to explore different careers and find out where you fit in.
Yes, I've heard that quite a bit.
Water? Tea?
Erin stands and walks to get her mug left on her desk.
I have chamomile or green.
I'm fine, thank you.
Erin sits, sips her tea, then sets it on the coffee table next to a stack of coasters. Julia picks it up and places a coaster underneath it.
Can we talk about your father? How is your relationship with your father? Are you very close?
I'm looking into statistics.
Statistics?
Yes, I think I might like to become a statistical analyst.
That sounds wonderful. I can see you becoming very successful at that.
Erin sips her tea.
Your father?
We're fine.
Fine?
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to him?
Look, I mean no offense, but I don't need to be here.
You don't?
I just mean I'm fine. I don't need a therapist.
But you came today.
As a favor for my mother.
You are welcome to leave if you'd like. You did come. I'll tell your mother you came. if you are going to stay, can I ask you about your father? Might as well use the time. When was the last time you spoke with him?
7 months ago, before his last blow-up
Episode.
episode.
I like to avoid layman's terms. It helps us to separate emotion from a diagnosis.
Seriously?
7 months ago, before his last episode.
Sure. Episode.
Were you close when you were growing up? Do you have any fond memories together?
He likes to tell me how we would go to the park and fly kites.
Do you remember that?
Of course. It was incredibly windy. Our kite got ripped out of my hands and flown into a tree. It was too high for even my dad to reach, but suddenly a magic British nanny came flying down with an umbrella. Our
Julia.
kite and
I understand you'd rather be spending your time elsewhere, and you are welcome to leave, but if you would just give me 20 minutes of your day. Your mother finds it very helpful, and thought you might too.
What questions do you ask my mother?
Let's focus on you.
I would like to know what questions you ask my mother. How can she find this helpful?
That's not really an appropriate thing for me to share.
I would ask why she stays married to him.
Thank you, Julia. That's a brave question. What do you think her answer would be?
I don't know. That's why I would ask her.
Julia, do you wish your parents would get a divorce?
No?
But you don't think they should be married?
I don't know.
When was the first time your father had an episode?
Episode. I was 7.
What do you remember about it?
Enter father and young Julia. They act out the following scene in a very dreamlike devised state.
He took us to Disneyland. We walked all around Fantasyland and I begged him to wait in the 2-hour line to meet all the princesses. He bought me a Sleeping Beauty dress and the matching heels, which I only wore for 10 minutes. He picked me up on his shoulders and ran me around the park, singing at the top of his lungs. We rode Splash Mountain. We went to see our picture after and I looked terrified and wet. My father didn't like it. We didn't look happy enough. This is the happiest place on earth, he said, and we better look happy, damn it. We rode Splash Mountain 9 more times that day until it was time to go home. I was soaking wet, cold, but my smile in each photo just got bigger. I was missing a front tooth. Mom was crying in her room.
Did you know he was in an episode then?
My mother didn't tell me he was bipolar until I was 15. But I knew.
Did you and your mother ever talk about it? Surely you asked her questions.
I couldn't ask her anything like that.
Why not?
I wasn't supposed to talk about it.
Why not?
I don't know. An unspoken rule, I guess.
That must have been really difficult to grow up not understanding.
I wasn't scared. She didn't let me see the lows. Whenever Dad was coming down from a manic episode, she would always send me to my aunt's house.
Is this Claire?
Yes?
Your mother has mentioned her.
What does she say?
You remind her of your sister.
For the first time, Julia gives a slight smile. Young Julia also smiles.
What do you remember doing with your aunt?
She loved music. She taught me how to play piano.
Enter Aunt Claire, who covers young Julia's eyes from behind, surprising her. Aunt Claire leads the girl to a bench, placing her hands on top of the girl's, mimicking piano playing.
She told me once how she wanted to write music for movies. Like Zimmerman, you know, but calmer. Sweeter. She wrote a song for me once.
She sounds beautiful.
Yes. Beautiful.
Your mother said there was another big episode about 6 years ago. That would put you in high school, right?
A freshman.
Freshman. Tell me about your freshman year.
Teen Julia and Aunt Claire enter. Teen Julia stands in the back near a chair. Aunt Claire sits at the piano. They're both unaware of the conversation in a separate world.
Well, we just moved to be closer to Aunt Claire.
Aunt Claire begins playing light, classical music. Teen Julia begins stretching and warming up, using the chair as a ballet bar.
I joined a dance studio. I was actually really good. My aunt played piano for our rehearsals, so she drove me to class and would help me practice afterwards.
Did you have friends at your studio?
The girls were great. 13 of us, all friends. There was a set of twins. They weren't very good, but very nice. We danced at a state competition that year.
Oh, that's so fun.
It was. It was a big deal. Mom and Dad planned a road trip out of it to go down to Vegas for the comp. I'd never been to the strip before, so I was really excited.
How was your dad in Vegas?
My dad hates Vegas.
Smokers?
No. My dad smoked. The gamblers. We get to the hotel and all he can do is talk about how gamblers are so stupid, wasting their money. My mom still snuck out at night to do penny slots though. Won $45.
It sounds like it was a great trip.
It was. Really hot though.
And the competition?
Yeah, we lost bad. Didn't even place. Turns out we were really good for Reno. Not so good for Vegas. But it was fun.
Do you keep in touch with any of the other girls? The twins?
Used to. The twins moved after that year and our favorite teacher left, so a lot of girls moved studios. But I kept in touch with a few. I don't know. People grow up, join new groups, meet new friends. You stop getting invited. People move on.
Why don't you reach out? Catch up with high school friends.
I have friends at school.
Well, sure, but does it hurt to get in touch with old ones? It seems like you had a great time with those girls.
I don't think they'd be interested in talking to me anymore.
Why not?
Things ended a little awkward. I wouldn't want to hash it out.
Julia, hash it up.
After the competition, my dad announced he would take us to dinner. His treat. I should have said no.
It sounds like he was trying to be supportive.
He was. I know he was. I didn't realize how bad it was again. I'm not sure my mom did either.
He took you out to dinner?
Yes, to dinner. Caesar's Palace. Of course, we didn't have a reservation, but he gave the host some cash and we got in. Money was never an issue, but it wasn't something we had a lot of. I'm sure whatever he gave the host was more than we could afford, regardless of the deal. I mean, it was fun. All my teammates and I still covered in glitter with our tight buns eating fancy food. The fanciest food I had ever seen, at least. We had lost. And bad. I mean, we got our asses kicked, but you wouldn't know it. My mom didn't eat anything.
Not hungry?
She refused to order. My dad was so upset with her about that. He bought an extra steak.
But she wouldn't eat it?
It's not like we could have returned it. It just got thrown away. His card declined. He yelled at the waitstaff. My mom got us a cab to the hotel. Mom came home at midnight. Wrinkly hands from washing dishes. Cops brought Dad back around 3, swearing and sweating.
Aunt Claire's playing stops immediately, never resolving. She slams the piano closed. It echoes through the stage. Julia jumps at the noise. Aaron looks over at the piano. Aunt Claire watches Teen Julia walk out. Julia pulls a cigarette and lighter out of her purse. She begins to light it.
You can't smoke in here.
Julia walks over to the window. Aunt Claire stands up and leaves, walking past Julia. Julia bumps into Aunt Claire, but doesn't notice him. Continues to the window, focused on the cigarette. Aunt Claire does notice, turns to watch Julia walk away, and then leaves. Julia shoves the window open. She lights the cigarette, staring at Aaron.
take that tea now.
Aaron walks to a side table with a water jug, various teas, mugs, spoons, and a microwave. She pours water into a mug, places in a tea bag, and sticks it in the microwave. Julia gives a judgmental look.
The kettle broke.
Aaron watches the microwave as it heats the tea. Julia watches Aaron watching the microwave, pulling from her cigarette. The stage feels bare. Tension builds in the silence. Finally, the microwave beeps, and both women take a deep breath. Aaron places the mug on a napkin on the main table. Julia remains at the window, now looking out it. She sits on the corner of the desk.
It seems like your mother was very protective of you. She still is, you know. She is so proud of you for going to school and growing up into a beautiful young woman. Are you mad at her?
My mother?
Yes, your mother.
Julia turns back to the window.
Julia? Yes? Are you mad at your mother?
I was.
Was? Why?
She should have told me.
Should have told you that your father was bipolar.
If she had told me, it would have made sense. If she had told me, I wouldn't have to lie to my friends about where I was going after school. I would have understood why my dad ran away. My mother wouldn't be forcing me to sit and talk with you.
I'm sorry that you feel forced to speak with me. I'm only here to try and help you understand what you couldn't then.
I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry, I know you're only doing your job.
You don't need to apologize to me.
I was rude. You did nothing to me. I think an apology is necessary.
Julia, you are allowed to be upset.
I'm not.
That's fine, but you are allowed
I'm
to be.
not upset.
Julia, I don't believe you. I think you are angry at your parents for not letting you experience the childhood you wanted. I think you're upset that the only way your mother will speak to you about your father is through me. I think you believe that you aren't allowed to be upset because you didn't experience the bad parts and nothing bad enough happened to you to warrant seeking help. I think your issues as a child weren't respected because your mother was overwhelmed. I think you are over-focused on growing up and gaining the responsibility that you wish your mother had.
I don't think you know what you're talking about. Have you ever spent your Friday night crying? Not because your father has run away for the third time, but because you're missing out on the sleepover that you finally got invited to help take care of your sobbing mother? Have you ever had the entire neighborhood come over to help look for your father, and all you can think about is all the stares and the questions people are going to ask you at school the next day?
Teen Julia and young Julia enter, standing in the back.
Have you ever felt so guilty that you didn't care if your father was dead because you barely knew him in the first place?
You are allowed to be angry. You deserve to, even though you aren't the one who's bipolar.
Aunt Claire enters with a casserole, placing it on the table.
You don't know what it's like to have people bring over casseroles as some sort of sick way of saying, sorry, your father's medicine isn't working anymore, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Julia puts her cigarette out in the casserole.
Those casseroles lined my freezer like some sort of consolation prize for surviving without a mother.
Aunt Claire reaches out her arms and brings young Julia and teen Julia into them while Julia looks on longingly.
My aunt was more of a mother to me than your other patient. She was mine. All mine.
You had to share so much of your life looking after your father. You are allowed to be protective of your relationship with your aunt.
She found him late that night. She left me to look for him.
Julia picks up the casserole and throws it on the floor, the pan breaking and the food splattering on the floor. Teen Julia and young Julia jump at the noise. Aaron tries to ignore it.
When was the last time you spoke to your aunt?
7 months ago.
Before your father's most recent episode?
Yes. She visited me at my school.
That must have been nice. Your mother said you hadn't seen her since you moved out. What did you talk about?
I told her I was a broke college student. I was dating someone at the time. That didn't work out, but my aunt wanted to meet him. I wouldn't let her. We talked about nothing and everything. We could go on for hours without having said anything of substance, but we were laughing and happy, and it was just us.
Was that the last time you saw her before she passed?
I didn't know she was sick when she came to visit. She didn't show it.
Maybe she was trying to protect you.
She should have told me.
You saw your parents at her funeral. Did you speak to them?
Just to my father. He asked me how school was.
And you said?
Fine.
You didn't tell him you were struggling to pay tuition?
What could he have done? It's not like he has extra money.
Maybe your mother could have helped.
I didn't speak to her.
You saw her though?
She was crying.
People grieve in different ways.
She shouldn't have been crying. She didn't deserve to cry. She should have been thanking her for raising her child.
She was your mother's sister. Don't you think she's allowed to mourn the death of a sibling?
They weren't close. The only time she talked was when my mother was dropping me off or asking for money.
Erin walks to her desk, pulls an envelope out of the drawer.
Your mother tried to give it to you after your aunt's funeral, but, well, she gave it to me to pass along.
Erin hands Julia the envelope. She opens it and pulls out a letter. When unfolding the letter, a check falls into Julia's lap.
Your Aunt Claire saved a bit of money for your college.
Erin allows herself to look at the shattered casserole dish for the first time. Food and glass are everywhere.
The broom.
Erin exits.
My sweet Bumblebee, words cannot describe how lucky I am to have lived my life watching over you. I never want you to think you were a burden to me. You have taught me more than I could have ever learned on my own. Oh, my Julia, the deck of cards you were given was certainly not fair for such a beautiful soul as you. You are stronger than you will ever know, smarter than you will ever know, braver than you will ever know. I can't wait to watch you take over the world. Please use this money to get the education you deserve, or even as a consolation prize, if you will. I know you will help so many people in the world, just by being you. I love you.
Young Julia is wrapped in Aunt Claire's arms. Teen Julia and Julia lock eyes. Teen Julia walks towards Aunt Claire, joining in the embrace. Instrumental melody of the song continues as Aunt Claire lets go of young Julia and teen Julia and walks towards Julia with open arms. Julia runs into them, almost collapsing in her tears with a sense of home and relief. Lights fade and the song finishes after black.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. We're gonna have a quick Q&A with the audience after their